with the devastating injuries to David Montgomery, Carlton Davis, Alim McNeil, and Khalil Dorsey, and all the other injuries that have happened over the past couple of weeks, the Detroit Lions need to find some replacements for those guys and just to add some depth on the defense, as it is horrible. It is flat out atrocious. It is horrendous. And there are some guys in free agency. That's what we're going to be going over today. We're going to be going over four positions that we could look at in terms of players to sign. Now, we just did yesterday, when this video is coming out, we did sign Anthony Pittman off the Jaguars practice squad. So we do have now only 3 roster spots remaining on the 53-man roster. The positions we're going to be going over in free agency to look at today is the running backs that are available, the defensive ends, the defensive tackles, and the cornerbacks, and maybe the safeties. We'll see about it. I'll probably throw in the safeties in there. So we're going to start off with running back, since there's the only position on offense that we really have to look at to help that backfield. And like I mentioned in one of my videos yesterday, the running back free agency class right now is horrible. It's horrible. I mean, you got guys like 3rd string, 4th string running backs, and here it is. This is according to Sharp Football Analytics. Hold on, I got to redo this. OBS is tripping right now. Get this pulled up here. Alright, there we go. Alright, you see it right there. Best running back free agents from Sharp Football Analytics: Latavius Murray, Jerick McKinnon, Melvin Gordon, Alex Arma, that's technically a fullback, Eno Benjamin, he hasn't played since 2022, Giovanni Ricci, pretty sure that's a fullback, Dwayne McBride, UDFA from last year, doesn't have a single statistic, Matt Breida, he's probably the best available, but not very good. James Robinson, he's probably the second best available. I had like 1,000 rushing yards 2 or 3 years ago. He'd probably be my number 1 option, honestly. And Isaiah Spiller, I think he played on the Chargers. I really don't know who that is. I'm gonna be honest. Those are your running back free agents right now. I mean, that's not all of them. That's just like the highlights. You got like the guys who haven't played in 3 years, like Adrian Peterson, because I know somebody's gonna bring it up. But those are the main guys right now. I mean, Leonard Fournette's out there. I do not want Leonard fullback though, or Leonard Fournette. He's essentially a fullback. I mean, he kind of plays the fullback position. He runs like a fullback. He does everything like a fullback. So I don't want Leonard Fournette though. I mean, it seems like he averages 3.5 yards a carry every season. He's productive, but he averages like 3.5 yards a carry. Essentially Jamal Williams, except worse, and that's saying something. So yeah, Leonard Fournette's the only one probably on this list that would make sense. That wasn't on this list. So that's your running back free agency class right now. So in my opinion, if I'm the Lions, this is what I'm doing. So again, my prediction: I think Jamal Adams is going to get signed to the 53-man roster this week, and they're going to activate a Fatu Melifonwu off injured reserve. So that'll take up 2 spots, which means a spot on the practice squad will open, and you'll still have a spot open on the 53-man roster. So what I'm doing is I'm potentially signing a running back for the practice squad. You don't have to sign anybody to the 53-man roster. None of these guys are 53-man roster. None of these guys have to go on the 53-man roster. But there's 3 guys on that list that I'd be fine with. Number 1, James Robinson. He's still fairly young. He's only like 26, 27 years old. He had 1,000 rushing yards and 900 yards the year before, like 3 or 4 years ago. Matt Breida, veteran running back, was good a couple of years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. He's been productive throughout his career. He's solid, probably the best available on that list. I just don't know if he'd fit our offense the best. I think James Robinson would fit our offense a little bit more. But Matt Breida's another guy. And then the third guy was Latavius Murray, even though the guy is like the oldest running back in the NFL. I'm pretty sure he's like 35 years old. He did have like 900 rushing yards like 2 years ago with the Broncos. He popped off with them when he had to come in due to injury. Now, he did have a lackluster year last year, only averaged like 3.8 yards a carry or something like that. But bring a veteran back in that. We don't have a veteran back in that room now. I mean, I guess you've got Craig Reynolds. But besides that, you have nobody. You got Jahmyr Gibbs, second-year player. You got Jamar Jefferson, fourth-year player. Yeah, fourth-year player. You got, but he hasn't really played much. And you got Sione Vaki, first-round player, or first-year player. And then you got, of course, Craig Reynolds, who's on his 5th or 6th year now. So, I think it's 5th year. So if you want, all those guys bring veteran leadership to that room, especially the guys like Matt Breida and Latavius Murray. So I'm signing one of those. If I'm not 100% saying that because I'm going to go over the list with you guys. I haven't really checked this recently. I'm going to go over all the other positions, and I'm going to give a final prediction of what I would like to see. So those are your running back free agents. Now, we're going to... I can't believe I'm still talking about this. Best defensive end free agents. Kimiko Toure. Austin Bryant, the former Lion, who was very undersized. Rasheem Green, the former Bear. Shane Ray hasn't played since 2018, and he's a top 3, 4, 5, 6, top 7 defensive end available according to this list. Justin Hollins, Marquise Haynes, and of course, Shaq Lawson, who I've been talking about for I feel like the past 6 months now. I mean, there it is. I mean, obviously there's a couple of names on that list that are, in my opinion, should be definitely on there over Shane Ray. Now, don't get me wrong, Shane Ray was productive when he was in the NFL, but the guy hasn't played since 2018. I understand he's trying to make an NFL comeback, but, like, the guy hasn't played since 2018. Now, some guys that weren't on that list that should be is Bruce Irvin. And you see at the bottom of the thumbnail, will Brad Holmes bring back some former players? I think he will. At least one. I mean, we already did that. We brought back Anthony Pittman. Bruce Irvin's out there. Justin Houston's out there. Jason Pierre-Paul is out there. Melvin Ingram is out there. So you still got some guys that are out there. And about every guy that I just named, I'd probably take over every guy here besides Shaq Lawson. Shaq Lawson is like the only guy on this list that I'm like, okay, if I'm going to sign this guy, I'd probably want to sign him to the 53-man roster just to make sure nobody poaches him. But all these other guys, they could just go on the practice squad. I mean, like, Austin Bryant, I don't think he's played this year. I'm pretty sure he came off his season-ending injury last year. Rasheem Green's an interesting one. He had, I think, 6 sacks 2 years ago. He's an interesting one. But all those other guys, I mean, like, I think Justin Hollins had a solid year a couple of years back. But if I'm the Lions, I'm getting an edge rusher, and I'm putting him on the practice squad. So Shaq Lawson could definitely go in the practice squad. My problem with that, though, I feel like he'd get poached. Once a contender team like us loses one of their edge rushers, somebody's going to poach him because he's by far the best available, and it's not even close. I don't understand how he's still available. But the guy I would like to see come back is either Bruce Irvin, Justin Houston, or Jason Pierre-Paul. Justin Houston had like 9 sacks 2 years ago. And then Jason Pierre-Paul has been very consistent throughout his career. Hasn't been, super productive these past couple of years, but he's ready to play. He's in shape. Aaron Wilson tweeted a couple weeks ago. He had, I believe, back-to-back 4-sack seasons, which is better than what we have. So I'd be fine with all those guys. But those are the defensive ends. Here's the defensive tackles. Oh, you're ready for this. This is going to be the worst thing you've ever seen. These are your interior defensive linemen, defensive tackles, nose tackles. The best available. And yes, this is probably the most updated list with the best available. It's horrible. Hassan Ridgeway was a solid defensive tackle with the Texans, but I believe he's in the UFL right now. Brian Monet, he's in the UFL. Big nose tackle. Al Woods, the guy's like 39 years old. Solid defensive tackle, but he's as old as he should be in a nursing home. Tyson Alualu. He is honestly probably the number one guy I'd like to see come back that was on the Detroit Lions last year. Guy was super productive. You know how I feel about Tyson Alualu. He was very productive last year with us, and he does not deserve the hate at all. I would really like to see him back. He played very well with us last year. Just practice squad to start out with and then go from there. But he played very well last year. I'd like to see him come back. Davion Nixon. I don't know who that is. Albert Huggins. Mike Purcell. Mike Purcell's come up over the past couple of weeks as a potential target. I don't really know. The guy's like 3 career sacks. We need a defensive tackle who can pressure the quarterback. Not a nose tackle right now. I mean, we could always use one. Broderick Martin hasn't looked good by any means. You know how I feel about him. You got Chris Smith, extremely young. You don't know what Jonah Williams can bring. So, I don't think we need a nose tackle. I really don't think develop those guys. I don't know. I wouldn't be mad at it, but I'd rather have a defensive tackle who can pressure the quarterback to try to replace McNeil and Wingo than get another nose tackle. That's just what I would rather have. But because you got DJ Reader who can eat up the middle. Nick Williams is another option. Now you can consider him as a defensive end or whatever. He is also a former Lion. I wouldn't be mad at him either. I really didn't like him when he was a Detroit Lion. I just didn't think he was that good. But looking back, he was pretty solid. Reminds me a lot of a John Kaminsky type. A little bit undersized to play defensive tackle. But he can pressure the quarterback. He can stop the run decent. He's not going to eat up that line. He's not going to get an insane amount of pressure. And that's exactly what John Kaminsky is. John Kaminsky is definitely slightly better. But Nick Williams was on the Chargers last year. Had a pretty solid year last year. Signed with the Niners. Couldn't make the 53-man roster this year. So I definitely won't be mad at him either. And then the last two guys is Lawrence Guy. He could be interesting. Former longtime Patriot. He's okay. Has like 20 career sacks. And Adam Gostis. I don't know who that is. So there's your defensive tackles. The only probably two guys that I would take on this list is Tyson Alualu and Nick Williams. That I'd be like, okay, I like that move. You know, I'd be fine with the Lawrence Guy. I'd be fine with like Al Woods, maybe Hassan Ridgeway, but like I'm not gonna, like say, oh yeah, this was an immediate good move. If we make that move for Tyson Alualu or Nick Williams, I'll probably say that's a pretty good move. Not gonna lie. Those are the two. If I'm looking at a defensive tackle right now, those are the first two that pop up, in my opinion. There's no really linebackers available who can pressure the quarterback besides Shaq Leonard. He's really the only one. Damian Wilson can pressure the quarterback, but he's a little bit undersized. Shaq Leonard, he's still out there. I don't understand what happened to him. Was like a top 3 linebacker, top 5 linebacker in football just like 3 years ago, and he's disappeared off the planet. We'll be mad at him, but I don't know what's going on with him. And then the best available corner, since this video is getting extremely long, we're just going to run through it. The secondary is still very talented in terms of who's available. This is not all of them, by the way. There's many players who did not play last year who just didn't play many games who are still out there. But here's the bigger names that did play last year who are out there. Xavier Howard, you see him on the thumbnail. He's by far the best player in the secondary available. I just don't know if he fits the culture here. But if we do sign Xavier Howard, that is one of the only signings that I'd be like, oh my, I really like this move, or something like that, where I jump out of my seat almost, because I'm not really going to be enthusiastic about any signing we make to replace these guys, because I just don't know if it's going to be enough. But Xavier Howard is the guy that I'd be excited for. And then you got Father Time Patrick Peterson. I still like him. I still like the San Diego Line. Now he's probably more of a safety at this point in his career than a corner, since he's probably really slow now. He is really slow, but he's still consistent. He had a great year 2 years ago with the Vikings. A little bit of an underwhelming year last year, but he can still play pretty well. J.C. Jackson used to be a top 5 cornerback in football 2-3 years ago. Had a terrible year with the Chargers last year, I believe, and then he got cut and really hasn't played since. Won't be mad at him, though. Chan Sullivan would be okay. These other guys would just be practice squad bodies. Now, Jerry Jacobs, you also see him on the thumbnail. Could he come back? I think there's a legitimate chance Jerry Jacobs comes back. He put out a tweet yesterday when you're seeing this about something like, luck is coming to me or something like that. I totally forgot what it was. I should have bookmarked it. But it's kind of interesting because it kind of ties to him potentially coming back to Detroit. So I'm gonna kind of lose my mind if we sign Jerry Jacobs. I'm not gonna lie. I take Kendall Fuller over him every single day of the week. So kind of lose my mind if we did end up signing Jerry Jacobs, even if it was just the practice squad. And these are the best safeties available, just because. I mean, might as well. You got J-Ron Curse, the former Lion, very talented safety. He's just got off the field issues. Adrian Phillips, the veteran. Keanu Neal, he's kind of like a Jamal Adams, can play linebacker. Rudy Ford, he's pretty solid. Eric Harris, he's like 35 years old. Tracy Walker, he could be interesting to bring back. Terrell Edmonds, he's probably my number 1 option in the safety market. Adrian Amos used to be like about a top 10 safety a couple years back, and Eddie Jackson also used to be about a top 10, top 5 safety actually 3 or 4 years ago. So you still got a lot of talent there in the secondary. And I also forgot to mention, you see him on the thumbnail, everybody is saying we need to bring back Ndamukong Suh, and I don't think they're being sarcastic. I think they're legitimately saying let's bring back Ndamukong Suh. Like, Are we really doing this? Again, I'm taking anybody at this point, anybody to help that defensive line, but Ndamukong Suh, the guy's like 40 years, it's close to 40 years old. He hasn't played since 2022, and he barely played in 22. Essentially, the last time he's played a full season was 2021, which was 3 years ago. I'm gonna make a bet with you guys. If the Lions end up signing Jerry Jacobs or Ndamukong Suh during this rest of the season, at any point during the rest of this season, I will grab a metal pan from my cabinet and bang it on my head for 5 straight times in a row, because that's how confident that I think the Lions will not bring back Jerry Jacobs or especially Ndamukong Suh. I'll throw in Jerry Jacobs in there just because I'll throw him in there, but that's my bet. If the Lions end up signing Ndamukong Suh or Jerry Jacobs at any point during the season, I don't care if it's a 53-man or practice squad, I will get a metal pan from my cabinet and start banging on my head about 5 times in a row, because there's just no way they do that. I mean, it's stupid. I'll be mad at it. I'm just saying, in terms of Ndamukong Suh, I wouldn't be mad at it. There's no way it happens, though. There's no way. I know I saw the cryptic tweet he put out there. There's no way he's going to become a Lion under Dan Campbell. There's just no way. And again, the guy's like 40 years old. I don't even know if he's in football shape. So, one pride go Lions. Who do you think the Lions could sign? Do you think they could bring back Ndamukong Suh, Jerry Jacobs? Is there anybody that I missed they could sign? And then again, my predictions, who I would like them to sign. So we'll just say with the 3 roster spots we have open, we'll say Jamal Adams takes up the spot in Melifonwu. So we'd have 2 spots open, one in the 53-man, one in the practice squad. The 53-man spot, I would sign Xavier Howard. And in the practice squad spot, I would sign Tyson Aluadu probably. That's who I would do that. I would sign Xavier Howard to the 53-man roster and sign Tyson Aluadu to the practice squad. So list your 2 down in the comment below. I'm very curious to see who it is. And one pride go Lions. Ndamukong Suh. That's unreal.